Welcome to the Stafford Excellence EdTalks, where we celebrate the brilliance and excellence of our Stafford County Public School educators. Today on the podcast, guys, you need to take a seat and get ready to listen because we have our current Stafford County Public Schools Teacher of the Year. Yes, like the one. And she also serves as the ITRT, the Instructional Technology Resource Teacher at Rocky Run Elementary School, Nina Passmore. Nina, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, everyone. I am so excited to be here. Thank you, Dan, for having me.
I'm so stoked to just be here to listen and learn from you because, my goodness, like Stafford County Public School Teacher of the Year, we have like 5,000 employees in Stafford County Public Schools, Nina, and you are the voice this year. That's what an honor.
Thank you. It is quite an honor and very humbling, to say the least.
That's awesome. So, Nina, I'm pretty sure you're familiar with the format of the podcast by now, but I just want to remind everyone at home, you know, our Ed Talks are broken into three parts. First of all, we're going to learn about Nina's story, and then we're going to talk about her excellence, and then finally we're going to end with some thoughts. So, Nina, are you ready for your Stafford Excellence Ed Talk?
Here I come. Should I do like a drum roll?
Here we go. Okay, Nina. So can you start off by telling us a little bit about yourself, your story, how you ended up where you are today?
I would be delighted. So yes, I went to University of Mary Washington for my undergrad in psychology. Wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do at that point. I knew it was going to be something with kids. I knew it was going to be something with helping people and loving people, but wasn't really sure exactly at that point. I had a great passion for teaching. I was blessed with incredible teachers growing up all throughout my educational journey. And growing up, I actually was a struggling learner and was diagnosed in elementary school with a learning disability. So from very early on, I was blessed with people that were just believed in me more than I believed in myself, and they kind of saw something in me that I didn't see, and they would help me continuously build strategies and make learning accessible to me. And so that kind of has sparked my empathy and love for being able to put myself in certain kids' shoes. So after I graduated from UMW, I went into helping children as an ABA therapist, applied behavior analysis, doing early intervention with children with autism. I worked with kids very young, diagnosing them up until we would send them to kindergarten. And I did that for 3 years, and at that point I kind of came to a T in the road of where I wanted to get my master's and wasn't really sure if I wanted to do special education or general. And I decided to do general education. So I went and got a master's at UMW while working as an ABA therapist during the day, went to school at night, and I really wanted to advocate for kids on kind of the general ed side of things and for that inclusion environment. I did my student teaching at Conway Elementary, shout out to my Cougar family, and from there I was hired on as a long-term sub for a teacher that went out on maternity leave, and then got hired on as a second grade teacher and landed my dream job as an autism inclusion teacher my first year in second grade, and then went on to be the SPED inclusion teacher there for 5 years. And then I made a real quick total 180 and became an ITRT, and that is where I am at now at Rocky Run Elementary School. I'm in my 4th year here, and so shout out to my amazing Bulldog family and incredible administration and all the staff that I work with here. And I kind of later on, with that, understanding of making learning accessible, I kind of wanted to do it on a bigger scale and bringing technology and innovation into the classrooms. And so that's where I am here at Rocky Run Elementary.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I didn't know all these elements of your story first of all. So I'm just so humbled with so much that you said because, I was also a struggling learner in elementary school. I've shared quite a bit, and I love how you said that the teachers believed in you, and they also had that empathy and that love. And that's what you wanted to bring to your students as well. And I really think for any new teacher out there listening, for any teacher out there listening, that's really two of the most important components that are necessary for a classroom,
Yeah,
you know. Did you
absolutely.
have a specific teacher or anyone who really stood out to you? Was there anything along your educational journey that really, kind of made you who you are today?
I would say two really stuck out to me. My second grade teacher, which is kind of funny, the foreshadowing that I became a second
Yeah.
grade teacher. Her name was Miss Herbert. And that was the year that I was diagnosed with my learning disability, and I got my IEP that year. And she really started that process, and then kind of everything was solidified in third grade. And so she was a huge catalyst for advocating for me and kind of making sure that I had gotten what I needed in place along with my parents. And then from there, Miss Schwans was my fifth grade teacher. Both of those teachers, I'm sure you probably can't do this nowadays, but both of those I got to have like a sleepover at their house
Oh
like that
my,
summer,
yeah.
and we went we like a bunch of us like girls and stuff, and we like went to DC, and
Ah,
like they like just kind of they were just like those teachers that went above and beyond. I still send them Christmas cards to this day, and they comment on
oh,
all of my like Facebook posts, and like now my son, and like have even seen them like in the later years. And so it's kind of cool like to be able to say, hey, you had a huge role in like the woman that I've become now and the educator I am today because of you. So
wow.
I would say those two women were
Oh my
amazing.
goodness. And I have to imagine that when you send them cards and whatnot, that they're like, that has to mean the world. I can't imagine, as soon as my students are grown, as soon as our students are grown and they're adults and they have the families of their own, if somebody
Yeah,
reaches out, my goodness, talk about an impact.
yeah,
So,
absolutely. Because you don't really get to see that side of things. Like my husband's a firefighter in construction, and I always joke like he's got like pictures to show about
yeah.
his day. Like I don't have any pictures to show about my day. It's like all planting seeds and like watering them
Hmm.
and like hoping that they grow, but you don't know like where your kids are going to be, in the years to come, and just hoping that you continually can have that impact on them, and that be some type of small sliver in them becoming world
I love
changers.
that. And I actually left out one other distinction. As you were telling your story, I'm like, hold on, I forgot to say this. You were also the Stafford County Public Schools first class new teacher of the year.
I was, yes, at
No,
Conway.
like you just have this career of just distinction and being at the cutting edge. And I think it's just so clear. I think we are really a product of our story and those people who impacted us. So I have to imagine that, for your students when you were in the classroom and now as an ITRT working all throughout the building, I have to imagine those kids, benefit from your love and your empathy and just those connections you make. It's just good stuff.
Yep, it's all about the
Ah, I
relationships.
love it. Okay, so let's move to your excellence, which really,
Okay.
relates to everything you just said. So, can you tell us about a best practice or a strategy
Okay.
or anything that you do that's making a difference?
I think I'm going to take it back to when I was in the classroom. And I was a second grade teacher. As I expressed, I was an inclusion teacher for my grade level, which was amazing.
Yeah.
I finally like kind of got to love and serve and care for the kids just like me when I was in the classroom and providing that least restrictive environment for them. But with that being said, I had kids in my class that could not
Mm.
read. And then I had kids that were reading Harry Potter, which is awesome and fantastic. But I felt very stretched, very thin. I had 25 second graders, only a little bit of para support at the time. And so I remember I had this like really thick white Mac book. It's like kind of feels like it's aging me. I don't feel like
It's
I'm that old, but
no, that's
like
that's pretty recent.
so it was like this thick white MacBook, and it was like one that was it, all I had, my laptop and my desktop in my classroom, and I made it the blogging station, and the kids had to like handwrite entries, and if they like I approved them, they could go back to the blogging station and they could write on our class blog. And so it was really like all about like making writing purposeful, having that audience, and kind of building that classroom
Hmm.
community, and like that they could comment on each other's, and like they could create, and that's kind of where it started. So I went to my principal and I was like, a J.R. Raybold, and I was like, hey, like I kind of like, is it possible to like have more computers? He's like, let's go to the PTO. It's our amazing PTO. Like, gave me a few laptops. And from there, Grafton Elementary was doing kind of some things with blended learning. And it was kind of the start
Mm.
of blended learning, like in our county. So I went to multiple conferences at UMW. I went to a Loudoun conference. My sister's also a teacher, so I went to her county, and she was teaching up in Loudoun County, and like kind of everybody was talking about this blended learning. I met
Yeah,
you at Google
I
Summit,
remember.
and then Dr. Quinn bought me like 2 laptops, and so before I knew it, I had kind of like gone to different people to try to get more laptops and say, hey, like I just want to try this out. I'm trying to fill the gaps, and like I could
Mm.
see the need for differentiation, but I was only one person. And so um, from there, I had 6, and then it grew to 8 laptops in my classroom, and I started blended learning. And so my high flyers would do literature circles on their computers right before they came to me. I would do front loading with my babies that kind of needed that extension of like, okay, we're gonna read about scuba diving, but they had no idea what
Oh
scuba
yeah.
diving was. And it's like, if you've never been scuba diving, it's really hard to like read a story about it. So I would show them a video about scuba diving and pictures about it. And then we like took off with Kid Blog, and like that was really like um, we would blog all the time, and we would have like Spotlight Friday, and we would all collaborate online, and I just really saw their writing grow. They all became editors. They all like took ownership of their learning, and it just kind of became where I was a facilitator of learning and not like the owner of their learning,
Yeah.
like, and that was like a really cool flip in my classroom. And so I think that is what inspired and sparked like I want to do this on a much larger scale. And so when I came to Rocky Run, I was like, I want to bring that innovation into the classroom for more teachers and more kids. And so here I am.
Oh my goodness, I was taking notes while you were talking because there's so many things I want to talk about. And the number one thing what you said really resonated with me when you said that you had your group of kids and you had kids all over the board, and it was such a struggle to differentiate before you implemented that blended learning. I think that's a struggle for teachers even to this day. So I really think blended learning, if folks are not familiar with it, that's definitely an approach that you want to look into, just because of the power to really personalize the learning for every kid. um,
Mhm.
but the second thing I love, you were talking about blogging with your kids, and I just think, like you said, that really honors their voice and who they are. You're kind of allowing them to get that out, and I just think there's such power in that. Where you become more of a facilitator, and the kids are kind of discovering and creating their meaning and making meaning on their own. So that's just that's just
Absolutely.
power. Um, and then
Absolutely.
one final thought, I've been reading a lot of blogs about this recently, in terms of expectations for our kids, in an equitable manner. So I wonder, the teachers you had way back in second and fifth grade, and then when you were a teacher, tell me about the expectations you had for all kids in the classroom, or that your teachers had for you. Did they lower their expectations because of certain things you were presenting?
I mean, I think they always raised the bar, and I think, like I said, they always saw something in me that I didn't see in myself, and then they would lead me to see that. And I think that's the coolest thing is like, even when you take a child that maybe isn't the greatest in literacy or in math, and you kind of empower them to believe in themselves, and you do set that bar really high for them, um, they'll
Mhm.
meet it. I mean, they
Yeah.
will. I mean, and when that happens, like just celebrating them and being excited. And I mean, even like currently, like as an educator, I'm still a student. We're all learners, right? And like my principal, like he believes in me and sees things
Mm.
in me that I don't see, like so that never stops. Like that always will continue, that you want to have people in your court that are able to do that for you. And I think as teachers, we have the most unique and the greatest job to do that on a very large scale, because we're entrusted with 25 plus babies
Yeah.
every year to be that every single day for them.
It's the greatest job. I so agree, Nina. That's just Right on. So, going into your thoughts, typically I ask, the first couple podcasts of the year, I've been like, okay, how's the beginning of the year going? But I wanted to come this way because your role has been very pivotal. So, we have been in the middle of a global pandemic. You are an ITRT.
We have.
So, tell me about your role during the last year and a half. In case somebody doesn't know what an ITRT does, I want you to tell them every element that, maybe not every element, but
I was about to say I don't know what an IGN knows. I know what I was hired to do 4 years ago, and that has drastically changed. Yeah, it's been a ride, Dan. It has been a ride. No, in all seriousness, it's been an honor. I mean, it's really been um, seriously the greatest challenge I've ever been blessed with. Like, and I will always remember the day that the governor closed our school back in March, 2 years ago. And I just, like, the biggest crocodile tears were like streaming down my face of just like trying to process it all. And, and I knew my life was about to get real crazy, and I didn't know what that was going to entail. There was a lot of fear. There was a lot of unknown. There was a lot of history writing this past 2 years, and I will say, we have 32, 33 incredible ITRTs in our county, and 17 of us in particular elementary. And we all just like band together, and we kind of all turned inward, and we were like, okay, what does this look like? I mean, we started like this Google Hangout chat, and it's just like, if you like are away from your desk like a hot minute, like it's just like blows up of just like supporting each other, loving each other, helping each other, as we're all trying to help lead, the unknown in this crazy learning journey. And so, thankfully I have incredible administration here that kind of, I was able to like sit with them and be like, what does this look like? My best friend Casey Stewart, who's the focus teacher here, she said, Nina, you're going to need some people behind you. Like, you can't do this alone, and you're going to need to get a team. So I immediately started a tech team here at Rocky Run, and we have 18 incredible educators on it that represent all populations. So we have one from every grade level, so it's a vertical team. We have SPED represented, wow. We have focus, we have our specialists, we have our administration, I have my CTT, like everybody comes with a different lens. We have a counselor on it. Like, they all come with a different lens, a different expertise, and that tech team has held up Rocky Run. And I couldn't do it without them. And they, we made shirts, we've got glitter pins, like, and that was just like, that first year, we would all come together, and I'm like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing. If you Google this, there's no answers, So the answer has to be within this Google Meet, because at that point we were all remote and virtual. And so, we would brain dump, and we would, talk through things, and I just leaned on them so hard, and I continue to, and just be like, all right, girls, like, what does this look like? It happens to be all women, and then Mr. Rowan, Nick. Yeah. And so, and just like kind of really working together to serve our community, serve our kids, serve our staff. We are a very large school here with a lot of needs, and we are Title I, and we have almost 1,000 kids. And so there's just a lot of support that had to be had. And so with that, we've implemented Google Meets. We have implemented our LMS, Canvas, our learning management system. We've done Pear Deck. We've done Seesaw. I mean, there's been so much training and professional development this past few years. And it has, like, some of it I've facilitated and led, but the cool thing is, a lot of it the tech team has, and they have facilitated, and they've led that charge within their grade level teams. We come together, then they go out. We come together, we go out. And so they've been able to infiltrate and kind of duplicate ourselves. And like, I feel like we've done a phenomenal job, and we're closer than ever. We were already a family before that, but now it's just like when you go through like something like that together, it's just undeniable the strength that you have.
Such truth. Well, if you haven't heard, thank you very much. Thank you, because I mean, guys, listen to everything Nina just said. That's been the last year and a half. And the other thing I have to say is, earlier you said you wanted to impact change on a larger scale. I'm pretty sure you're doing that, because you were talking about how your second graders, you empowered them in that classroom to, share out their voice. You did the same thing with that tech team at Rocky Run. And I think that's such power, being that leader and bringing everyone together and really, raising up their voices. That's just
Yeah.
awesome, 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 awesome. So
You can't tell I love
I
what I'm
know, I know.
doing.
You can
Like,
so tell when the passion just radiates.
yeah, I love what I do, and I mean, I hope we never go through a pandemic again, but I would be remiss if I didn't say, like, I'm grateful for the opportunity,
Yeah.
and honestly, that the Lord chose me
Yes.
to have this platform and to be in this seat. I didn't see this coming, and when it did, it was kind of like a sink or swim mentality, and I swam in college, so I
You
had to
made
swim.
it. I love that. So this is my favorite part of the podcast. In addition to
Okay,
everything
I'm
else,
ready.
the final three statements. I'm going to start a phrase, and I would just like you to complete it. Okay.
Okay.
So our first phrase is the thing I love the most about being an ITRT is blank.
Making learning accessible for all students through instructional
I
technology.
love that. Dear first year teacher me.
Keep smiling and laughing through the
Oh, I
craziness.
love that. Yes. And finally, Stafford County Public Schools is the place to work because
The people.
I agree times a
The people.
thousand. The people here are amazing.
Amazing.
So, Nina, okay, so I could literally list off all of your accomplishments and everything you're doing for teachers in Stafford County. Guys, this is incredible. We have the first class new teacher of the year. We have the Stafford County Public Schools teacher of the year. And we just have, you're an incredible leader, Nina. And it's so clear, going from second grade to the ITRT role. How lucky is Rocky Run Elementary to have you in that position as we navigate a global pandemic? So,
I feel just as lucky to be here and just work with our amazing staff and just our amazing
yeah,
administration.
and I couldn't think of anyone better to be the voice for Stafford County educators this year than you in that role. So, congratulations on that. Um,
Thank you, Dan, for having me.
Absolutely. I so appreciate you because you are Stafford County Public School excellence. So, everybody at home, don't forget every single Wednesday you can go on over to the Stafford County Public Schools YouTube page and check out another edition of the Stafford Excellence EdTalks. See you guys next time.